Good day, everybody. This is another Ideas This Week. I'm Raheem,
I'm Israel.
right? And today we're going to be talking about one particular topic in general, which is the importance of having a creative outlet outside of work
Yeah.
and its benefits for your mental health as a creative professional.
Yep.
So, getting into it, this is something that I learned very heavily, I think, within the past couple of weeks. We talked about it in another podcast about where kind of just how doing a creative job, especially in graphic design, how mentally draining it can be, how frustrating, taxing it can get, and how like there was a need to be creative in a way that isn't in the service of a job. And I actually, with your advice, I actually did start doing that. I started to draw more, like go back to basics, like drawing, doing designs for my own pleasure and my own, creative imagination, exploration, and it genuinely helped to like relieve stress, improve my mood and stuff. Yeah, and that's something that, well, it took me a while to get to, but it's something that you've also been doing for a while. You had that baked into your lifestyle from the get go.
It would seem so. I think one of the first things that I learned that I did when I started at BCC, especially when I was graduating, I said to myself, actually, it was my quote in the little book that we do, like, I turned my hobby into a career, now I need a new hobby. And one of the first things I did, I always loved music, so I started to just write music, learn to play the piano. I'm not a virtuoso, no, but I learned to play the piano, I learned to play the guitar. Creative writing. So I've always had those other creative outlets as well. And I find, those have helped me to just have balance.
Yeah. I think it was that lack of balance that I was missing, right? It was like a lack of balance. And I think the bigger benefit of it isn't just the, like kind of bringing back that little childlike expression you have, like, of just, like making a fake, right? Yeah, creative for creating sake, or even being more, as I said, experimenting with stuff, like trying something out that may not work, but it's like there's value in just trying things out. But so there is that benefit, but there's also the benefit it had for like my mental health, and just overall mood in general. So speaking from my experience, you guys know, like a couple weeks back, um, wasn't like, it was kind of not an all-time high in terms of stress, but like I was very frustrated or like dissatisfied with the industry and working in the industry. And actually a guy we had, Clyde, we had in a previous podcast, he said something that was very, I think, kind of spoke to one of the biggest reasons for the stress was when you're working in graphic design, you're constantly telling somebody else's story. Right? You're constantly saying messages for somebody else. Your work, your creative ideas are in service of somebody else. And while that can be helpful, it can also be detrimental because, that's not how we grew up being creative. Right? So it was like getting back to that roots of like doing something that I think of for my sake, and I'm the one editing and critiquing it, or editing it, or just changing it from my own pleasure, really helped to like, I always think, bring some stability back into like my sense of self, my sense of creativity, and not having to hear another voice to it. I wonder what you like. How does that? You have similar effects for that?
It's interesting because doing graphic design, we know that what we do is commercial. Even from college, we know that we are going into a commercial space, and we will always be doing it on behalf of someone else. But I think when you get into the real world and you have to actually meet that, right? You have to meet the challenges that come with it, the pushback that come with it, sometimes through your own inability to explain, or just a misalignment of goals between yourself and the client. There's just a dissonance that occurs. You're unable to communicate that, and the client's unable to see your vision, and then that creates frustration. So that's happened. I've been there. I guess for me, it's a case of, I think I've been practicing the whole thing of having a creative outlet almost without realizing it. Because I just liked those other creative pursuits. So I would just do them, not recognizing that that was something that was helpful to my mental health, being able to just express and create in other ways. It's so funny because this week, twice I was asked a very similar question, like, what do I do for fun? You know, or how are you outside of work and everything? And I was like, what?
Yeah, it's like you. I think you responded with saying like you inject fun into what you do.
Yeah, I inject fun into everything I do at the office. Whether you guys know, I'm always making a stupid joke, and I understand it is a stupid joke, and it's a stupid joke on purpose. Like I wouldn't even say that there's this grand plan or a method to my madness. But it's just me enjoying the moment of every day, right? And that also helps me to when the negatives come, when the pushback comes, it helps me to process it a little bit better because yeah, it stings. You're like, serious? Suddenly you think, seriously? Like, who can't see this?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think having that just positive view, that lighthearted approach, and then having those outlets is very, very helpful because you can't always be on. That, you know, we as human beings, we need downtime, whatever that downtime looks like. There's a reason why we have a weekend, right? Like there's a reason why there are nights and evenings, not to blaze through, but to have times where you slow down. Because if you don't, you're going to burn out. You're going to have some serious negative impacts on your mental health.
Yeah. So to wrap it all up, I think like we can all like see from both actually like experiencing ourselves and as like I guess we could say like you could use our experiences as a test case to help yourself in terms of like if you are going through similar things, you know, like you're feeling a lot of stress in your creative job, to find other avenues to release your creativity to stress relief.
And it doesn't always have to just be a creative pursuit.
Yeah.
For example, if you're a person you enjoy being out in nature, going for a hike, going for a run,
touching some grass,
touching some grass, walking on the beach. Like there's so many things that we can do that shifting focus. Yeah. Shift focus to something else. Yeah. And don't always be in the same space. And those sorts of, so find whatever that is for you that can help you to shift focus, that can help you to just change gears, be in a different mental space, and put aside the stresses of the job, of the moment, of the situation that will allow you to then recharge and rethink and just move forward. Yeah.
And if you have any like advice or suggestions for anybody else that might be watching, please feel free to leave it in the comments. Or if there's any topic that you want us to, you know, touch on in a future podcast, again, leave it in the comments for us and we'll look through them. Yeah. And you know, you guys honestly have a good day, and that is all.
Enjoy.